Hey guys, Rich here again. Welcome back, and this is a part 3 video on the Toyota Supra. I just had to stop recording for a second because I had a call because I have a delivery coming in very soon, so I gotta pick that up around 11 o'clock. So that's gonna be important. I still got like time until that happens, so like 2.5 hours left, and boom, I'll be doing the delivery. I'll get that delivery, and I might be back for another video. So I was on, before I got interrupted, before I had a call, I was on the 1983 model year. So, let me just redo all of the info onto this. What I mean by that, I have to repeat what I have to say because I kind of forgot where I left off. So, 1983. In 1983, for the 1984 model year, the changes were significant. Power output was increased on the 5-speed models to 119 kilowatts, 162 PS, 160 horsepower, and 163 pound-feet, 221 newton meters of torque. Yeah, 221 newton meters of torque. So I have to repeat it sometimes because I always speak so fast and sometimes a little bit quiet. So I just have to slow down and speak up louder so you guys can hear. 221 newton meters of torque. The increase was achieved by a mixture of a redesigned intake manifold with D-shaped intake runners and an increase in a compression ratio to 9.2 to 1. Another notable change in the 5-speed models was the switch to a 4.30 to 1 gear ratio in the rear differential. All automatic versions retained, all automatic models retained the previous year's power statistics, but the rear gear ratio was changed to 4.1 to 4.10 to 1. The most notable exterior changes include the switch to wrap around front turn blinkers or turn signals, the or indicated or turn indicators, whatever you call it, the option of either a rear wing mounted high up on the rear hatch / rear window, and quarter window louvers. Window louvers. It's spelled Louvers. Now I don't know what that means, but kind of sounds interesting. Also, the taillights were redesigned, and the hatch received a billboard Supra sticker instead of the smaller sticker, which was previously positioned on the right. The rear hatch and bumper was changed and received the same color as the rest of the car instead of the black ones of the previous years. The door handles were also switched, opening by pulling up instead of pulling up instead of sideways. Two-tone paint schemes also became available on both the P-type and L-type models. Some interior controls, such as the steering wheel, cruise control, and door lock switch, were redesigned. Steering wheel, cruise control, and door lock switch were redesigned. Toyota included a 130 mile an hour, 209 kilometer an hour speedometer in North American models instead of the traditional 85 mile an hour, 140 kilometer an hour speedometer, and the automatic climate control display was also changed. The previous year's cassette and equalizer stereo option was now made a standard feature. Next up, we got 1985 to 1986. The Supra was redesigned again in 1985. Power output was marginally increased to 120 kilowatts, 163 PS, 161 horsepower, and torque was up to 169 pound-feet, 229 newton meters of torque. All models of this year had the same amount of power, both auto models and 5-speed manual models. The engine received a redesigned throttle TPS throttle position sensor, as well as a new EGR exhaust gas recirculation system and NOx sensor. With a slight increase in power, the Supra was able to propel itself from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 miles an hour in 8.4 seconds, and netted a 16.1 second quarter mile time at 85 miles an hour, 137 kilometers an hour. Other changes would be a redesigned, more integrated sunshade and a rear wing on the rear hatch. The rear wing was changed from a one-piece to a two-piece. The option of a leather interior remained exclusive now for the P-Type. Toyota added a standard factory theft deterrent system, and the outside mirrors were equipped with a defogger that's activated with the rear defroster. All Supras this year received automatic off lights that also encompassed an automatic illuminated entry and fade-out system. While 1985 was to be the last year of production of the second generation model, delays in production of the third generation models led to a surplus of second gen models. During the first half of 1986 to 1985, P-Type was still offered for sale with only minor cosmetic changes, as well as the addition of a now mandatory rear-mounted third brake light on the hatch. These were all labeled officially as 1986 models. The P-Type, as the only model available for the 1986 model year, production for the A60 Supra ended in December 1985 in order to make way for the upcoming A70 Supra. Next up, we got the markets. The second generation of the Supra came in a variety of options around the world, as well as only being offered during select years. So I had to move back because I thought my phone was gonna fall again. So just making sure it doesn't. Next up, we got Japan. From August 1982 to 1983, the Celica XX, as it was named in Japan, had fender mirrors and came in 4 models depending on the engine. First one, we got the 2800 GT twin cam with a 2.8 liter 168.4 cubic inch DOHC 5M-GEU inline 6, which made 118 kilowatts, 160 PS, 158 horsepower. That makes the same power as some like hot hatches. I remember like the like I believe it's early or mid 2010 Fiat 500 Abarth convertible made the same exact power with the SS kit into it, and 134 pound-feet, 182 newton meters of torque. Wait, hold on. Wait, 150 pound-feet, 203 newton meters of torque. Oh man, I'm jumping ahead. Just because some of these cars, like half of these cars, just make like the same exact power. So let me just start again. So I'm not gonna rush ahead. I'm gonna reset this again. So 2800 GT twin cam at 2.8 liter, 168.4 cubic inch DOHC 5M-GEU inline 6, 118 kilowatts, 160 PS, 158 horsepower, and 150 pound-feet, 203 newton meters of torque. Next up, we got the 2000 GT twin cam, that 24 valve version, at a 2 liter, so a smaller engine, 121.3 cubic inch DOHC 16-GEU inline 6, 118 kilowatts, 160 PS, 158 horsepower, and 182 newton meters of torque. 134 pound-feet, 182 newton meters of torque. Next up, we got the 2000 turbo with the 2 liter 121.3 cubic inch SOHC single overhead cam turbocharged M-TEU inline 6 with 107 kilowatts, 145 PS, 143 horsepower, and 156 pound-feet, 211 newton meters of torque. And next up, we got the 2000, and that has a 2 liter. So it literally has the same engine as the 2000 turbo. So single overhead cam, 1G-EU, so it's naturally aspirated, 92 kilowatts, 125 PS, 123 horsepower, and 127 pound-feet, 172 newton meters of torque. From August 1986 to so it's from August 1986. So I believe it's from 1982 or from 1983 to 1986. And I kind of accidentally read the same one because I was just like, I was tempted to just get this done. Just so much info, I couldn't, like, I was rushing ahead. So, man, I don't know. The Celica XX had the Celica XX had, or the Celica Double X had door-mounted mirrors and the same four engine options, but with performance improvements. The 5M-GEU engine compression ratio was increased to achieve 129 kilowatts, 175 PS, 173 horsepower, and 177 pound-feet, 240 newton meters of torque, and the M-TEU engine is upgraded with an air-to-water intercooler um, to 118 kilowatts, 160 PS, 158 horsepower, and 170 pound-feet, 230 newton meters of torque. So in reality, that kind of upgrade just like decreased the power a little bit and the torque. Next up, we got the sales, which are most. So we got the other ones from like Europe. So first up, we got most of Europe though. Sold from August 1982 to 1986. So we got the 1982 to 1983 version. That one has a 2.8 liter, 168.4 cubic inch DOHC 5M-GE inline 6 with 130 kilowatts, 177 PS, 174 horsepower, and 207 pound-feet, 281 newton meters of torque. And it had analog instrument cluster with no fender flares. Now we got the 1984 to 1986. Now that has the same exact engine, makes this, but the power and torque is a little bit different. So this one actually makes 125 kilowatts, 170 PS, 168 horsepower. So a little bit less, but it has a bit more torque. And 212 pound-feet, 287 newton meters of torque. I'm talking about. And this one has a digital dash with P-type fender flares. Now we got the ones from the UK. Sold from 1982 to 1986. We got the 1982 to 1983 first. That has a 2.8 liter, 168.4 cubic inch DOHC 5M-GE engine with 133 kilowatts, 180 PS, 178 horsepower, and 212 pound-feet of torque. Well, 287 newton meters of torque with analog dash with no fender flares. Now we got the one from 1984 to 1986. Now that literally has the same engine, same power output, same torque, but this one has a digital dash with P-type fender flares. Well, fender flares, whatever you call it. Yeah, and I also had to like tape up my book because it was like falling apart. Next up, we got the ones from Australia, Sweden, and Switzerland. Sold from 1984 to 1986, these had a version of the earlier single cam engine, and it wasn't worth the expense of making the twin cam engine meet the particular emissions regulations shared by these three countries. This particular engine was also used in the Cressida and the Crown in the Swiss market. It had a 2.8 liter, 168.4 cubic inch single overhead cam, so an SOHC 5M-E inline 6 with 103 kilowatts, 140 PS, and 138 horsepower, and 167 pound-feet, 226 newton meters of torque. The Supra in Australia was sold from 1983 to 1986. It had a digital instrument cluster, fender flares, 14 by 7 inch wheels, 1984 style lights, a single piece rear wing, an LSD, and an optional sunroof. This was the only variant, and no L-type model was offered. In Australia, the Supra, manufactured between 1982 and 1990, like the start of the 90s, was assembled in the UCSR Used Car Safety Ratings, there we go, in 2006 as providing worse than average. Protection for its occupants in the event of a crash. Now we got the ones from New Zealand. Sold from 1984 to 1985. So it literally has the same engine as the ones from Australia, Sweden, and Switzerland. So, but this time it's a dual overhead cam, so it's a DOHC 5M GE inline 6, but the power output is a little bit increased. It has 133 kilowatts, 181 PS, 178 horsepower, and the torque is slightly increased as well. It has 212 pound-feet, 287 newton meters of torque, and a digital dash and P-type fender flares were also added as well. Alright. So I figured this will be it. Like for now, I got a couple stuff to do, and I gotta go to like work, like in the house, and get everything sorted out, and I'll be back to do the 3rd generation Supra. And very soon, I will be also talking about these bad boys. So I got 3 info lists I've got. So I printed these off at college, and I'll be back for these to happen very soon. What am I doing today? I don't know, but we'll find out. Alright. So I will see you guys a little bit later, and I'll get this video done, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. So stay tuned. I'll be back soon.